got a story to tell. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is gonna be like a story time. This is something that happened recently. It was like 2 weeks ago, and it was something else. So it was during deplaning, and this was a flight from Chicago to Kansas City. So as we were deplaning, everyone's, you know, coming off the aircraft, and I'm like, bye, see you later, see you next time, thanks for flying with us, you know, give him a little spill or whatever. So this guy, he ends up coming into the galley, and he stands next to me. And so I'm like, okay, maybe he's just, you know, waiting for somebody to get off the aircraft. Then he goes in his pocket and he pulls out handcuffs, and the handcuffs look like kind of rusty and kind of old or whatever. So of course I'm just like, hey, you know, why do you have handcuffs? At the same time, there's another guy that's walking behind me. He stands like in where he stands behind the bulkhead in the 1C sitting area. So he's standing there, and he answers me, and he says him and his girlfriend are very kinky. They like to be handcuffed to each other. So immediately I'm like, okay, but I didn't say anything. So as he's, you know, waiting for everybody to plane, I'm thinking that a woman is gonna walk up and, you know, they do their thing or whatever. So instead of a woman walking up, a young boy walks up. He's kind of my height, had like brown curly hair, and he looked about like 15, 16, or 17, like about in that range, that age range. He was a young looking boy. So the guy with the handcuff, he has on like a bandana, so I tell him to call him the bandana guy. So the bandana guy, he goes to handcuff the little boy, and I'm like, whoa, is this your son? Because remember, I'm thinking that it's a woman that's supposed to be coming for him to handcuff, which is still like weird or whatever. But so when he tries to handcuff the little boy, I'm like, wait a minute, is this your son? He did not answer me, and the guy walked off the aircraft. The little boy walks off the aircraft. Then the silverhead guy, that's the guy that was standing in 1C, he had silver hair, so he walks behind them. And I'm just like, you know, watching them as they walk off the aircraft. And I'm just looking like, I just stopped saying about everybody, and I'm just watching them or whatever. And the guy with silver hair grabs the little boy by his arm, and the guy with the bandana handcuffs the little boy to himself. He already had the handcuff on his arm, and he handcuffs the little boy to him. So the whole time this is going on, I'm thinking like, something ain't right, you know. So as I watched him, after he handcuffed him, I'm just standing there and watching them. They're standing there because if you ever flown a regional, you know that the overhead bins are small, so if the bag is too big, it won't fit on the overhead bin, so they got to tag it, and then they'll get it once they get to their destination. So we were at the destination, they were sitting there waiting for the bags, and the whole time I'm just sitting there watching them, and like this interaction is very eerie to me, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I need to tell somebody, see what somebody else thinks it is. So I walk into the flight deck, and I'm like, hey guys, do we have any law enforcement officers on board that you guys know of? And they're like, no. Did you see any? And I was like, well, I didn't see any, and I didn't see any on the paperwork, but what I did see was blah blah blah. I told him the story that happened about the, you know, the two guys and the young boy. And he goes, oh, he's probably just doesn't want his child to run away from him. And I'm like, no, he's not a young boy that would run away. Like, he's old enough to stand still by himself. So I'm like, nah, I don't think that's what it was. And I'm like, he's handcuffed himself to this little boy. I was like, that it doesn't sit right with me. I was like, they're still standing here if you want to come look. So my captain is like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. So my first officer comes out, and he checks it out, and he's like, yeah, that's pretty weird that they're handcuffed to each other. So by this time, everyone had the plane, and the aft flight attendant is walking towards the front, and I'm like, hey girl, this is what happened, blah blah blah. I tell her the story again. She's like, that doesn't sound right. She was like, it may be sex trafficking. And I'm like, I didn't want to say anything, but I think it may be too. So I'm like starting to freak out and stuff. And I'm like, we need to tell somebody. So my captain finally comes out of the flight deck and he's like, what's going on? Like, what do you want me to do about it? And I'm like, I think you should tell somebody, you know, what's going on. So we keep having this conversation back and forth. He keeps blowing it off. He said that the man may have been a bounty hunter and the little boy may have ran away and blah, 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 all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, if somebody is going to be handcuffed to somebody else, no, I just don't think that's right. So I just keep going back and forth with him about it. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, it's fine. I'll walk up and I'll tell the gate agent and I'll figure out, you know, what to do about it. So, by this time, of course, everybody done left aircraft. I'm sitting here like trying to convince him to go tell somebody to do something about it. So I say that I'm gonna go, you know, tell somebody, and he goes, well, I'll do it, fine, I'll do it. And I'm like, thanks, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes later, thanks for that. And so he goes up and he tells the gate agent, and the gate agent tells her boss, and then her boss tells law enforcement, then law enforcement come down. And by this time, it's like 30 minutes now. So, of course, whoever it is, the little boy, the two guys, they've probably already left the airport. But still, I have to give my statement now. So, I give my statement to the law enforcement officers. I tell them everything that happened. I described the guys. I described the little boy. And he asks, what took so long for you to tell us? I said, I didn't want to throw my captain under the bus. But I was like, well, I have been trying to get my captain to tell someone, but he didn't. He felt like it was, I told him this stuff, like he felt he was a bounty hunter, or he felt that it was just like a dad and a son type deal. And he was like, no, we've actually had a couple sex trafficking incidents here. And I'm like, what? Now I feel so bad because this little boy who was probably kidnapped and being sex trafficked may have just like went into a sex trafficking ring, and I couldn't do anything about it because my captain didn't believe me and didn't want to tell anybody. So yeah, that's the story that happened. I ended up writing a report about it, and I wrote a report about it. I submitted an IOR about the incident that happened, and they sent me back a human trafficking number that you should call if you see something. So if you see something, right away, call the number, because even if it's not what you think it is, it's always better. I ain't gonna say it's better to assume, but if it's a situation that you don't feel is right, then I feel like you should tell somebody about it and don't like wait to the last minute like I did. So if y'all see any sex trafficking within the United States or Canada, you can call 866-347-2423, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you see anything, say something. But if you are outside of the United States, then you can call 802-872-6199. That's all I got for y'all. That was a deep story, and I hope if y'all see something, y'all say something. And I would never wait to try to like convince anybody of what you saw. Just go ahead and tell, because that ain't right. Okay, thanks guys for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe as always.